The World According to Humphrey. Betty G. Burney. The Return of Mrs. Brisbane. Today was the worst day of my life. Miss Mac left room 26 of Longfellow School for good, and that's bad. Worse yet, Mrs. Brisbane came back. Until today, I didn't even know there was a Mrs. Brisbane. Lucky me. Now I want to know. What was Miss Mac thinking? She must have known that soon she'd be living without me, and that Mrs. Brisbane would come back to room 26 and I'd be stuck with her. I still love Miss Mac more than any human or hamsters on the earth. But what was she thinking? You can learn a lot about yourself by taking care of another species. She told me on the way home the day she got me. You'll teach those kids a thing or two. That's what she was thinking. I don't think she was thinking very clearly. I'm never going to speak to her again. Of course, I'll probably never going to see her again because she's gone. But if she comes back, I'm not even going to look at her. I know that last sentence doesn't make sense. It's hard to make sense when your heart is broken. On the other hand, until Miss Mac arrived, I was going nowhere down at the Pet-O-Rama. My days were spent sitting around, looking at a bunch of furry things in cages just like mine. We are treated all right. Regular meals, clean cages, music piped in all day. Over the music, Carl, the stone clerk, would answer the phone. Open 9 to 9, 7 days a week. Corner of 5th and Elder, next to Dairy Maid. Back then, I feared I'd never see 5th and Elder, much less the Dairy Maid. Sometimes I'd see human eyes and nose, not always clean as they should be, poking up against the glass. Nothing ever came of it. The children were excited to see me, but the parents usually had other ideas. Oh, come see the fishes, Cornelia. So colorful and so much easier to take care of than a hamster, Mama might say. Or, no, Norbert. They have the cutest little puppies over here. After all, a dog is a boy's best friend. So, there we were. Hamsters, gerbils, mice, giganopees, not nearly as popular as the fish, cats, dogs. I suspect that I'd be spinning my wheel at Pet-O-Rama forever. But once Miss Mac carried me out of the door a short 6 weeks ago, my life changed fast. I saw Fifth. I saw Alder. I saw the Dairy Maid with the statue of a cow in the apron outside. I was dozing when she came to the Pet-O-Rama, as I do during the day because hamsters are more active at night. Hello? A warm voice awakened me. When I opened my eyes, I saw a mass of bouncy black curls, a big, happy smile, huge dark eyes. She smelled of apples. It was love at first sight. "Aren't you the bright-eyed one?" she asked. "And might I return the compliment?" I replied. Of course, it came out as squeak, 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 as usual. Miss Mac opened up her purse with the big pink and blue flowers on it. "I'll take him," she told Cuddle. "He's obviously the most intelligent and handsome hamsters you have." Cuddle grunted. "Okay." Then Miss Mac picked out a respectable cage. "Okay, not the three-story pagoda I had my eyes on, but a nice cage, comfy." Listen, Amy squeals of encouragement from my friends in the small pet department, from the teeniest white mouse to the lumbering chinchilla. I left Pet-A-Rama with high hopes. We sped down the street in Miss Mac's bright yellow car. She called it a bug, but I could see it was really a car. She carried my cage up the stairs to her apartment. We ate apples. We watched TV. She let me run around outside my cage. She gave me my very own name, Humphrey. Humphrey, yeah. And she told me all about room 26, where we'd be going next week. Next morning. "And since you are an intelligent hamster who is going to school, I have a present for you, Humphrey," she said. Then she gave me a tiny little notebook and a tiny little pencil. "I got this for you at the doll shop," she explained. She tucked them behind my mirror where no one could see them except me. "Of course, it might be a while before you learn to read and write," she continued, "but you're smart and I know you'll catch on fast." Little did she know, I could already make out some words from my long, boring days at Pet-A-Rama. Words like chew-toys, kibble, poopers, scoopers. Remember, a hamster is a grown-up at about 5 weeks old. So, if I could learn all the skills I need for lives in 5 weeks, how long could it possibly take to learn to read? I'll tell you. Oh, wait. Yep. In a week, I could read and even write a little with the tiny pencil. In addition to schoolwork, I learned quite a bit about the other student in room 26, like lower your voice, AJ, and speak up, Saya, and wait for the bell, Garth, and Golden Miranda. Even after I found out her name was really Miranda Golden, I thought of her as Golden Miranda because of her long blonde hair. After all, I am a golden hamster. Yes, life in room 26 suited me well during the day. My cage had all the comforts a hamster could ask for. I had birds on the windows to protect me from my enemies. I had a little sleeping house in one corner where no one could see me or bother me. There was my wheel to spin on, of course, a lovely pile of nesting material. My mirror came in handy to check my grooming and to hide my notebook. In one corner, I kept my food. The opposite corner was my bathroom area because hamsters like to keep their poo away from their food. Who doesn't? All my needs were taken care of in one convenient cage. At night, I went home from school with Miss Mac, and we watched TV or listened to music. Sometimes Miss Mac played her bongo drums. She made a tunnel on the floor so I could race and wiggle to my hamster's heart contact. Oh, the memories of those 6 weeks with Morgan McNamara. That's her real name, but she told her student to call her Miss Mac. That's how nice she is, or was. On the weekends, Miss Mac and I had all kinds of adventures. She put me in her shirt's pocket right over her heart and took me with her to the laundry room. She had friends over and they laughed and made a fuss over me. She even took me for a bike ride once. I could still feel the wind in my fur. I didn't have an inkling until this morning of the unspeakable thing she was about to do to me. On the way to work, she said, "Humphrey, I hate to tell you this, but this is my last day in room 26, and I'm going to miss you more than you'll ever know." What was she saying? I hung on my will for dear life. You see, it's really Mrs. Brisbane's class, but just before school started, her husband was in an accident, so I took over the class. Today, she's coming back for good. Good! I could see nothing good in what Miss Mac was saying. Besides, I want to see the world, Humphrey, she told me. Fine with me. I've thoroughly enjoyed all the world I've seen so far and would go to the end of the earth with Miss Mac. But she wasn't finished yet. But I can't take you with me. All hopes dashed completely. Besides, the kids need you to teach them responsibility. Mrs. Brisbane needs you too. Unfortunately, she didn't tell Mrs. Brisbane that. Mrs. Brisbane was already in room 26 when we arrived. She smiled at Miss Mac and shook her hand. Then she frowned at me and said, "Is that some kind of rodent?" Miss Mac gave her the speech about how much kids could learn from taking care of another species. Mrs. Brisbane looked horrified and said, "I can stand rodents. Take it back." The "it" she was talking about was me. Mrs. Mac didn't bat an eyelash. She put my cage in its usual place next to the window and said the kids were already very attached to me. And she attached Dr. Harvey's Hammer's Guide to the Care and Feeding of Hamsters to the cage, along with the chart to make sure I was fed and my cage was cleaned on time. The children know what to do. You won't have to do a thing, Miss Mac said as Miss Brisbane glared at me. Just then, my fellow students came streaming into the room, and within half an hour, Miss Mac had said goodbye to everyone, including me. I'll never forget you, Humphrey, she whispered. Don't you forget me either. Not likely, but I don't know if I can ever forgive you, I squeaked. And then she was gone, without me. Mrs. Brisbane didn't even come close to my cage until recess. Then she walked over and said, Mister, you've got to go. But she doesn't know my secret. The latch on the cage door doesn't work. It never has. It's the lock that doesn't lock. So I've got news for Mrs. Brisbane. If I got to go, it will be when and where I decide to go, not her. Meanwhile, I'm not turning my back on this woman. Not for a second. If I ever disappear and someone finds this notebook, just check out Mrs. Brisbane. Please. Tim warned. Choose your new hamster's home very carefully and make sure it's secure. Hamsters are skillful escape artists, and once out of their cages, they are very difficult to find. Guide to the Care of Feeding of Hamsters, Dr. Harvey H. Hammer.